Draft Award 22 is here. People, it's time to win again.
This is the time for us to draft until we draft. That must be our slogan and rallying cry now. And along the way, we should be asking ourselves some critical questions.
Are we still enjoying 3 square meals a day? While our boys on the ground lack the basic gear they need to resist the occupiers?
Are we still living a life of luxury and comfort? While our brave restoration forces lack medical supplies at the home front?
Are we still throwing big birthday bashes while our restoration forces lack basic communication equipment to maximize their efforts?
Are we still going on cruises and expensive vacations while our IDFs on the ground go without food and logistics?
Are we still finding excuses not to make the necessary sacrifices and drafting big while our restoration forces lack the game-changing equipment that they so desperately need to bleed the enemy?
On a daily basis, how much are we putting aside for our liberation, knowing that only through the fierce resistance are we going to liberate our beloved country?
Are we providing the federal government and the CIC the means to carry out some of the critical, intelligence and other special operations across the national territory?
As we ponder these questions, we must remember that a goal that is not funded is nothing but a wish. And we must not let Amazonia die as a wish, because we failed to fulfill our patriotic duties by making the great sacrifices befitting a great people.
The World Draft once more is coming to your county. Stand up and be counted. No greater victory was ever achieved than by greater sacrifices. We are enough, so let's draft, and draft until we drop. Our existence as a people depends on that.
It is Award 22. Let us draft until we drop.
We the people, ABC Amber TV, Amazonia Broadcasting Corporation. The voice of the voiceless, the voice of Amazonia, connecting the world from Africa. With untold stories, Africa's best.
Fellow Amazonians, ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome to this very important broadcast, the Undaunted weekly recap and the pre-draft show. I would like to apologize that we're starting a little bit late. We've been having some challenges being able to connect Fako's officials. But fortunately for us, we have some already connecting as I speak. As you saw on the posters we sent out, Barrister Team and Barrister Fru have been connected and they are ready for us to start this discussion. We're having a reversal of the program, and while we are waiting for the Fako County officials to connect and be a part of this meeting, we will be taking Undaunted just immediately after. And right after this music break, I'm sure I would have connected some of the officials and then we will start the discussion proper. I'm calling on all those who are watching us on Facebook and on YouTube to endeavor to share. Tonight is going to be a long night. It is the draft for the Federal Capital Territory, Fako County. And like Barrister Team said earlier on, home front is complex and Fako County is even more complex. But you must understand that the darkest moment of the night is when it's about to dawn. This is the time when Amazonia has come close. We've never been this close. We are closer than ever in our history as a people. We must not allow anything in this whole wide world distract us. This is a time when we must put together our best forces and fight like one man. Tonight we will come out from all our counties and LGAs with all our colors and cultures to represent ourselves as a people and to communicate a strong message to Yaoundé. I will not waste your time, but then I want you to go down to Fako and to enjoy this beautiful music coming from the land of the president. We're talking about the land of Kuvali, Kenya, the mountain king, the same man who took up primitive weapons, waged a war against occupation in late 18th centuries, and win the war against the German occupation of our territory. This is the man who carries the spirit, and is a spirit that is in the president. You must understand that the President Samuel Ikome Sako, is a progeny of Kuvali, Kenya. Stay tuned.
Watu imana moko mwenge duwele loba koluka na jeno manja ekwe yo mwenge iya titie kema woteka mola njonjonjie mola njonjo moja His Royal Highness Chief Robert Esuka Endeli Chief Esuka Matthias ejo tute oka mola ste nyoki na iya jwane usi o mwenge si watu kumale me hoi aduja iya mojoko matute kwe yo mwenge Mola Samambua, Beyo Mengalo, Professor Nganje, Oa, Dr. Matute. Dr. Mokake na Dr. Ose, Ejo Bunge, Mola Gerard Luma, Mola Jacob Bonono, Dr. David Makongo, Izomelele Jouelele, Wapeo, Izomelele Jouelele, Lowe Tunamile, Lowe Navelimo, Wodi Mandamile, Izomelele Jouelele, Irondi Puganie, Yomandene Mokinjo, Oyo Mwenge, Mola Brandon Moa Koto, William Mokoko, Oyo Mwenge, Esunge Manase Mokwa Moja, the only elephant sitting on top of a tree. Say what do you want to be? Here, Julian, Molongo Tingo no Jadue. Here, Molonga Tie, Molonga Timera Jadue, Molonga Mongo, Imongo Teoka Yadue, Monyangina Wayale, no, and a very more, you don't need to Mongaka, Roko Moa na watu.
Yes, I would like to believe that that was a proper warm-up as we all come together to draft this great county. I'm talking about county of the great king, the mountain king. And President of the Republic of Amazonia. Please, I'll call the panelists. Perhaps you want to handle the background noise so that we can enhance this discussion. I want to apologize to you again, gentlemen, for waiting, Barrister Fru and Barrister Mbeseha. You've been waiting, and I think we have to start this discussion. Tonight, we are called to draft Fako. Before I get to start the talk with you, Barrister Esteem and Barrister Fru, I'd like a county official to brief us Amazonians. We have Mola Nick Mwele, who is here this evening. He's an official of the county. This is a county we were aware has been affected so greatly by coup plotters. This county has suffered the attack of Yaoundé. As we speak right now, Yaoundé is measuring whatever game plan they have on the ground. They're doing everything they can to francophonize this county. We understand that this county has a historic bearing when it comes to the history of the two Cameroons and justifies the reason why we as Ambazonians will pledge our allegiance to the county as the capital of our nation, even during this time of war. It is also very close to La République du Cameroon. There are arguments by historians that the actual boundaries between Fako County and La République du Cameroon is not what they are purporting today. Some argue that you may have to go right onto the Wuri River, that is at Bonaberi, but that will be left for experts in history and negotiation when we will be negotiating our final separation ties. Straight away, Molanik, I'm not sure that we have all the luxury of time to talk, to get into your county as deep as we would have loved to. Ambazonians want to know from you today what is happening in that county. Maybe you want to talk to us.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Paddy. Thank you for this invitation to this afternoon. Yeah, I'm of Fako County. Before we didn't even know about Fako, we knew Southern Cameroon because the Fako was just a political appellation and division that came after the 60s. That was part the part of the colonization of La République that they wanted to put on the Fako people. Fako actually has had some problems of recent times, especially past year. We know our people. I have to greet my people first, all the Bakure people from the coast of Tico, Victoria, where we have our altar there, to the mountains of Boya, who have a Pasamoto, and to the partial plains of Moyoka, Yoke, and beyond. Fako is a very rich agricultural area. Fako has a boundary with Douala, part of La République, and during the Germans, there was some links between, because they shared the border within the sea with Chief Bell and the Manga Williams. So they had that coalition amongst themselves that they talk, and they had some similarities in some part of the culture. But after today, La République, they wanted to take over our area because of the economy, the people, the soil. They wanted to engage them, put them inside their own this federation, not today. Our forefathers, the Indeles, the Lumas, the Kales, yeah, they fought for it. They wanted a separate, they wanted federation at that time, but that federation was not given. And just like any child, when you suck your mother's breast, I think you like your mother's breast than any other breast. And I believe the Fako people, they like their own land than any other land. So, as they refuse to give us what rightly belongs to us, our fathers and forefathers in the Kenyans fought with the British. It was a brutal fight at that time because they know what freedom meant at that time. I'm surprised that at this age of the 21st century, some of us, we don't know what freedom means and what comes with it. So I want to appeal to all my Bakuri brothers and sisters, fathers and mothers, that our gold mine ahead of us is better than what we see today because we failed to tap it. Our forefathers, they died with a lot of pride in their heart for us to achieve what they did not. But for this generation and this time, we believe, just like what is happening in Ukraine, we believe that we will have it this time. We will have it this time. And I'm calling to all my brothers and sisters, put your hands together. Let's come together. Let's come together like one man. Just like one man, and support our own brother, who today, like Ndele, trying to lead up to Apita. So
Mola,
please, let us draft.
I'm not Molamwe, just a moment. I hope you can get a feedback from me. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you now.
But I'm not cutting you short. Before we get to that point of getting Ambazonians, I just called Pat Tom, who is also an official of the county, to join this discussion, and he's connecting in a few minutes. Before we even get to the point where we start talking to Ambazonians, there's been a lot of stories around Fako County, and I understand that the county is at the level of reconstitution. Somebody's having background noise. Is it from you, Mola? Maybe you want to be sure that there's not having a background noise from your angle. Is it from you?
Josh, stop noise.
I'll test to know who's making the noise. Okay, Mola, I think the noise is coming from your end. Work on it. I've muted your sound. Work on it a little bit so that we are not having the production is not being distracted. It's not being distracted. Okay, this is the concern right now. We are 8 or 10 minutes after 8 p.m. in Ambazonia, and Ambazonia is watching you home and abroad today. As an official, I wish I could have Mola Jini here. I just spoke with him. He's putting together some logistics and things for the draft this evening. I would have loved to have him talk to us before Ambazonians meet us all in the Zoom link. But you are, as an official of this county, I'm aware that Fako County is unique. If we want to compare it with every other county, Fako County is very unique. So I want to know right now, before I get into the newsroom with the Undaunted girls, they will have to give to us a recap of the week, and then we come back and continue this discussion really very quickly. You have a few minutes to do that. Tell to us right now what is happening in this reconstitution of the county. What is happening? What is the hope for Fako? How many LGAs are functional? What should we expect within the shortest time possible? That's what every Ambazonian wants to hear tonight.
Okay.
What do Ambazonians need to do to help the country stand on their feet when it
Okay.
comes to human resource? That is even before the resources will be galvanized into night for the restoration forces. What is happening? Talk to us, please.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Pade. I got you now. Unlike the first question, I think I went out. I know the Fako people. We are trying to organize ourselves. We have 5 LGS area under Fako. We had our problems, but that problem has been solved. And all our boys, they are all at a good position now. They have they enable us. They try to divide us, giving La Republic an advantage to slow down all our plans that we had for this year and last year. But for this year, we have had a lot of time to strategize, to put everything together, to make sure that as we leap up after this draft for today, a new Fako will be seen. We will not talk, but we will just see it, because action is better than talking. So we believe, from what we have tried to do, arranging, put every hands on deck, trying to remove the problems that we had that slowed us, with good accountability, good focus, good togetherness. I believe, and I want to assure the people that let us not talk too much. Let them see what Fako going to do after we leave this draft. So that is how we have planned. A lot of this will not
Thank
over
you very much,
media.
Molanjimi. The director of the television, that's Madam Emma Indele, who is also happens to be an official of the county. A lot of people mistake. I'm not the director of ABC Amber TV. I am at the helm of the newsroom. I'm not the director of ABC Amber TV. The director of ABC Amber TV is a daughter from the Bakwere land. She's a pure Bakwere woman. I'm married to the family of the first ever head of state that Ambazonia ever or Southern Cameroons ever had. And that's why she's bearing the name Endele. Some of you know of Endele, EML Endele, and you know the role he played in our story as a people. So while we are going to come back right now, she has recommended that she wanted to see her girls on the screen. Let's get ready to transition. As I speak to you, we'll be transitioning right now into the newsroom, and the Undaunted ladies will set for us the appropriate platform that we have that we need to begin tonight's show. Stay tuned.
We the people, ABC Amber TV, Ambazonia Broadcasting Corporation. The voice of the voiceless, the voice of Ambazonia, connecting the world from Africa with untold stories, Africa's best.
Sorry, sir.
Another day to draft. Today we are drafting for Fako. Today's draft is very important like others. It could be the last county draft, but it's definitely not the least. Welcome to Fako County Draft. Now let's look at the local government areas that make up Fako. Fako has 4 municipal government areas, which includes Muyuka, Biu, Tiko, and Victoria. Biu is one of the fastest growing towns in Amazonia, along with Tiko and Victoria. All three have urban population of over 50,000 inhabitants. Fako is the 8th largest county in Amazonia in terms of its size. It has the second highest population of the 14 counties and also the third highest population density. Fako is located in Amazonia's equatorial state and is the most populous of the 4 counties in the state.
Now, the Wolvio are an ethnic group, native to coastal areas of the Fako division of the southwest province of Cameroon. The Wolvia are one of the ethnic groups that comprise the Sawa or Cameroonian coastal peoples. The Wolvia lead south of Mount Cameroon and on the Gulf of Guinea in the Fako division of the southwest province, and their lies west of that of the Isubu. The 67 villages in the Boya municipal area are principally comprised of the local Bakweri or Kwe people who have lived in area for over 4,000 years. The Bakweri language, Mokwe, spoken by the natives, is equally written and documented. It is closely related to neighboring Bakole and Wumboko languages.
The average life expectancy of this area is 50 years. That is from the 1999 statistics. Literacy rate is on the rise, with some 60 to 75% of the youth having access to education. Major festivals of the Fako people include all Fako Cultural Festival. Now, if you want to talk about the resources, the central geographic feature of Fako County is 4,095-meter tall Mount Mango Mandame. The rich volcanic soils at the foot of the mountain make this county prime line for subsistence and industrial plantation agriculture.
Yeah, Fako shares with Indian County all of Amazonian's Atlantic coastline, which is teeming with marine life and fisheries potential. The Mount Mandemi and Bioko montane forest constitute landmark ecoregions spanning over 50,000 hectares and are home to endangered mountain elephants. The Bomboko, Mokoko, and Boya forest reserves, Mabeta Kange mangroves, are no less notable for their rich floral and fauna as well as their potential as touristic attractions.
All right, if we talk about the economy, agro-industrial firms like Cameroon Development Corporation, CDC, and Mall Plantation Limited Cameroon PPLC are the dominant employers in Fako, with sprawling plantations of banana, tea, rubber, and palm oil. Fishing is a major form of employment and subsistence farming as well. Overall, with over 1,060 tons produced annually, Fako is the upper lower tier as a food crop production county.
Now, in terms of productivity, it ranks fourth only behind Manu, Donga Matung, and Meme counties. As an economic unit, it is most similar to its northern neighbor, Meme County, and the Limbe Festivals of Art and Culture, Festac, and International Film Festival, CAMIF, are held annually. Now, let's go into the recap proper of today. The Amber World Draft Award 22 is here. People, it's time to win again.
This is the time for us to draft until we draft. That must be our slogan and rallying cry now. And along the way, We should be asking ourselves some critical questions.
Are we still enjoying 3 square meals a day? While our boys on the ground lack the basic gear they need to occupy us,
Are we still living a life of luxury and comfort while our brave restoration forces lack medical supplies at the home front?
are we still throwing big birthday bashes while our restoration forces lack basic communication equipment to maximize their efforts?
Are we still going on cruises and expensive vacations while our IDFs on the ground go without food and logistics?
Are we still finding excuses not to make the necessary sacrifices and drafting big while our restoration forces lack the game changing equipment that they so desperately need to bleed the enemy?
On a daily basis, how much are we putting aside for our liberation, knowing that only through the fierce resistance are we going to liberate our beloved country?
Are we providing the federal government and the CIC the means to carry out some of the critical, intelligence, and other special operations across the national territory?
As we ponder these questions, we must remember that a goal that is not funded is nothing but a wish. And we must not let Amazonia die as a wish because we failed to fulfill our duties by making the great sacrifices befitting a great people.
The World Draft once more is coming to your county. Stand up and be counted. No greater victory was ever achieved than by greater sacrifices. We are enough, so let's draft, draft, and draft until we drop. Our existence as a people depend on that.
It is Award 22. Let us draft until we drop. All right, welcome again to the Undaunted weekly recap. Let's start with the report we brought to you on Monday, the 17th, that the previous weekend was bloody for the enemy La Republic du Cameroon genocidal forces, reporting that Go to Undaunted Studio says that in Bui County, the boys of Major General Chokan do attack the La Republic du Cameroon Colonial Gendarmerie Brigade located in Squares, Kumbo local government area in the morning hours of Saturday, October 15, 2022, during which the warriors engaged La Republic du Cameroon terrorists in a serious gun battle under raining conditions, killing 3 of the enemies and wounding many. Now, the reports are that the Maoris equally gunned down a drone that the terrorists sent up in the sky, hoping to gather intelligence on their locations. Undaunted benefited from the Bui County security team to gather these facts. Now, on another successful front, 2 La Republic du Cameroon colonial gendarmes were killed on ARF's ambush in Ndo local government area, Donga Mantun County. Undaunted also learned that the Ambazonia Restoration Forces killed 2 La Republic du Cameroon colonial gendarmes on Sunday, October 16th, 2022 in Donga Mantun County.
Now, we also reported on Monday when Undaunted took upon the streets of Bamenda on October 17th, 2022. Businesses were locked down and offices too shut down in respect of lockdown. People prefer to ground every economic activity for solidarity to the struggle. Many denizens in Bamenda talking to Undaunted qualified Mondays as a God-given day for them to denounce La Republic du Cameroon government. Some have taken upon themselves to go their farms on Mondays, others prefer having time in family, and others choose to involve in sporting activities. Most of the activities the people of Southern Cameroon's Amazonia do involve in is as individuals as well as collective is sport, running, group dance, the playing of football and handball, and these are always on the menu for Mondays rather.
All right, inhabitants of Wom local government area works Monday, that's October 17, 2022 morning, to the news of the burning of the residence of the in-house slave mayor of Colonial Wom Council, Dinghabang Anthony. Shock and consternation gripped them as of who might have done such an act. From information gathered, some 5 armed men stormed the residence of the municipal magistrate, surrendered occupants before setting the house ablaze.
Now, the President of the Federal Republic of Amazonia, Dr. Samuel Ikome Sako, said reiterated again last weekend at the Menchum County War Draft that Ambazonians' independence had been restored and must be recognized willy-nilly. For this to be realized, he went on and said all Ambazonians must put their hands on deck, bury the hatchet, and draft more than ever before to empower the valiant restoration forces to increase firepower on homeland. He requested for a minute's silence in honor of all the valiant fighters who have drafted their lives as is his usual pattern for the struggle and thousands of innocent denizens that had fallen before due to the war, the useless and senseless war.
All right, and also reports coming that came into our studios, which we also reported to you, is about a young man called Undaunted, popularly known as Issa, who was shot dead in the head at a close range at about 10 p.m. on Saturday, October 15th, at a place called Speed Break. He was shot by a group of armed bandits who reportedly claimed to be Amber fighters. They call themselves Ambers, whereas they attack people, terrorize, kill, and steal from them, especially in Mente, which they have transformed into their farm, a local lamented. We also gathered and reported to you that Issa's corpse was reportedly taken to the Bamendo Regional Hospital mortuary, where it is pending burial on Wednesday, October 19 in Queen.
Now, the chair of the African Union on Sunday called for an immediate ceasefire in Ethiopia's Tigray region and urged parties in the two-year-old conflict to agree to direct peace talks. The Ethiopian government and its allies have been fighting Tigray's forces on and off since late 2020, and the violence has killed thousands of civilians and uprooted with hundreds of thousands now facing possible famine. Now, meanwhile, the town of Shire in northwestern Tigray has been bombed for several days in a joint offensive by Ethiopian and Eritrean troops against Tigrayan rebels that have resulted in several civilian casualties. These were reported.
In the course of the week, we looked at the powers of law, where we talked about Nnamdi Kanu and Sisiko Julius. We tried to compare the two. Now, in essence, we also gathered from that report that what Nigeria did to Nnamdi Kanu is what Cameroon did to Sisiko Julius Ayutabi. Now, according to Barrister Fu Johnson, he says that it seems like the international law is not active when it comes to Cameroon and the Nigeria. Now, he also said that Nigeria had a more organized judiciary system than Cameroon, although he also agrees that in as much as both of them are different, they are almost alike. He says the Nigerian judiciary system is more free. Meanwhile, in that particular discussion, Barrister Tim Besia feels like the moving of arrested suspects from one country to another is illegal under the law. He goes on to say politically Nigeria and Cameroon are the same and have the same interests. He also emphasized that this may be because of Ambazonians that were brought in from Nigeria to Yaoundé. Also, a high point to note is that when we have our sovereignty, no one can arrest any citizen of Ambazonia illegally. This is what Barrister Tim Besia said.
Yes, and moving on to what we reported on the foreign screen, Ukrainian president outlined peace formula that punishes aggression, restores security, and President Volodymyr Zelensky of Ukraine addresses the general debate of the General Assembly 77 session, 21st September 2022, UN Affairs. Russia must be punished for its illegal war against Ukraine. President Volodymyr Zelensky told the United Nations General Assembly on Wednesday, part of a peace formula that also calls for greater civilian.
All right, we also reported that in Baliyonga on Monday, 17th of October 2022, there was a fierce confrontation which took place in the Hot local government, putting the valiant ARFs against the La Republic Duquesne occupier Boy Scouts, calling themselves soldiers. Now, in the account, one Ambazonia Restoration Force general named Kaskiro alone gunned down 8 colonial soldiers, sending them 6 feet before being gunned down by the enemy in the duel. Now, it is alleged that over 100 La Republic du Cameroon military invaded Baliyonga that fateful day in confrontations that lasted from 9 a.m. to about 4:42 p.m. The invasion started from Sang, Kutadinchi, to Kushu, Tob, Bilichi, and ended at the poultry center.
Well, this month we had an interesting story too. Aside from this, we got Chris W.J. Roberts, a CGAI Canadian Global Affairs Institute fellow, give us a policy perspective on 10 critical observations for the international community, pathways to peace in Cameroon. Now, after giving a breakdown of how an avoidable crisis escalated to this full-fledged civil war that has hardly received a mention in the litany of armed conflicts afflicting the world today, down to the current state of the war between the two Cameroons, La République du Cameroon and Southern Cameroon's Ambazonia, he went on to give his 10 critical observations designed to bring outsiders up to date if there is to be any hope for peace, justice, and prosperity for those living incredibly difficult lives in the two regions.
All right, he gave two, but because it's the recap, we'll just summarize them to one. Now, he said the best permanent solution to the Anglophone crisis would be a transparent, inclusive, negotiated peace process leading to a free and fair, internationally supervised referendum that included a clear question on institutional arrangements, including independence that would solve a historic wrong committed first in 1961 under British UN auspices and again in 1972. Now he goes on to say it would be signal an end to the political and economic marginalization perpetuated from Yaoundé. It is not a stretch to see parallels between Russia quick annexation referendums in occupied areas of Ukraine in 2014 and 2020, and Ahijo's hastily conducted on just May 1972 constitutional referendum, which allowed the entire population to vote, with reported 99% approval to dismantle a federal system expressly designed to accommodate the Anglophone minority.
Now, we also reported in details the tweets between at John Akuro and at Bo Herbert disagreeing on the purported talks between separatists and the Cameroon government. Now, on 14th October 2022, John Akuro tweeted, interesting to know that Canada mocked at Amazonia but continued financing HD within the framework of the defunct Swiss Mediation Initiative. With Canadian money flowing in through HD, we ignore the insults or mockery then. That was definitely dereliction of duty. Now, at Bo Herbert replied, I started Commissioner Ballet and Canada 2 years ago in an article and hold them accountable. Today, unlike you, unable to defend Southern Cameroon's cause for fear that Ottawa will cut off funding to your coalition for dialogue and negotiations.
And we also reported that Colonial La Republic of Cameroon military stormed former opposition leader Fundi's village. On Sunday, October 16, 2022, was a sad one for the population of Babatu Santa local government area village, a former leading opposition figure in Cameroon following a raid by the Colonial La Republic of Cameroon occupier forces that witnessed bloodshed. Undaunted gathered that many were shot and wounded when colonial soldiers under the command of Brigadier General Buba Debekrio stormed the area and opened fire, indiscriminately killing one person on the spot. Many homes were equally razed and businesses looted and some destroyed by the heavily armed colonial soldiers who vented their anger on the armless population without mercy.
Now, moving on with the reports we had this week, elements of the Colonial La République du Cameroon police forces were able to storm neighborhoods, conducting random searches and making indiscriminate arrests of innocent and vulnerable denizens without any warrant. And those arrested are taken to the occupier La République du Cameroon Colonial Police Station, where they are forced to negotiate their release with money.
Now, we also reported that two top colonial gendarmerie officers installed in Bamenda this week. The colonial commander of the territorial gendarmerie group for Mazam County was installed on October 19th. In-house, Lower Day Muabe Peter, a native of Bakosi in Tombel local government area, is the new colonial commander of the territorial gendarmerie group is coming in from Douala. Joined in the installation of the in-house slave Aluwade Muabe Peter, is the installation of the 90th Mobile Squadron Commander of the entire Northern Zone.
Also moving on, we reported a month ago the burning of the St. Mary's Catholic Parish in Chang Village, Mamfe, and the abduction of 5 priests, a nun, and 2 lay faithfuls. Their kidnapping was captured in a communique by Archbishop Andrew Inkia, a communique in which the clergy called on the abductors to release his collaborators. After a failed attempt to squeeze money from the church, the abductors, who identify themselves as the Amazonian Liberation Fighters in Mamfe, of which they are not, pleaded a new demand, that of exchanging their victim directly to the pseudo-Amazonian leaders held at the colonial Kondegi maximum security prison in Yaoundé. According to intelligence reports, they are not Amazonian restoration forces, but paid gunmen to sabotage the Amazonian restoration forces. The Biya regime is desperate to link this kidnapping of last month in Chang, southern Cameroon, to Amazonian self-defense volunteers. The regime is even more desperate to drag Pope Francis into issuing a statement tagging Amazonia a terrorist endeavor. Now, we gave 13 factual evidences that proves the letter the unknown abductors claiming to be Amazonian self-defense sent were written by a French Cameroonian and not an Amazonian.
5 priests, a nun, and 2 lay faithfuls abducted by still to be identified armed gang from the St. Mary's Catholic Parish in Chang and Mamfe have appeared in a video under captivity. In the video, a priest identified as Reverend Father Cornelius is seen and heard pleading with the hierarchy to secure their release. A look at the hostages in the video shows torture, depression, ill health, and despair. The speaker in the video attests to the fact that he is sick. So far, it has not been easy. If you see our faces, we are not happy. We're only begging, my Lord, that you should do everything possible for us to come out of here. It is a matter of do or die. As you can see, I have been very sick and my brothers are not feeling fine. So my Lord, help, let's leave this place. Listen to these boys and do what they want, my Lord. Father Cornelius cries. Upon the release of the video, chat with a Catholic faithful in Bamenda, and he affirms Reverend Father Cornelius was his parish priest. The man in black talking in the video is Father Cornelius. He was my parish priest here at Ngongam Parish. He was always sick. With his constant poor health condition that I know, it is only God that is preserving him in captivity, the Christian added. This group that is holding these servants of God in captivity and claiming they are a faction of the Amazonian Restoration Forces are not. According to intelligence report, they are not Amazonian Restoration Forces. This is far from the modus operandi of the Amazonian Restoration Forces. For example, when Cardinal Toomey of blessed memory was called up for questioning, the Amazonian Restoration Forces set him free unconditionally, not like this group of criminals who are galloping from one condition to another. Undaunted has been tipped that La Republic du Cameroon is crossing over to neighboring towns and hiring armed gangs into Indian to molest and kill Amazonians just to blackmail the Amazonian Restoration Forces. As kind and faithful as the Almighty God is, no devilish plan of La Republic du Cameroon against the people of Southern Cameroons and the Amazonian Restoration Forces will be hidden. Gab Ellison reporting from Undaunted, ABC Amba News.
We also reported that an old woman was shot dead at a close range by these dogs in her room in Guzang village in Batiwa local government area. Now, this act that the locals are still finding it hard to digest happened on Wednesday, October 19, 2022. The military officers of La Republic du Cameroon broke into her home the moment she finished having a shower, forcing themselves into her room and meeting her still undressed. The color shot her at a close range. Now, Undaunted was unable to get the name of this victim. She was only discovered in her own blood, lifeless. Villagers were in bitterness and consternation as the lifeless body of this unfortunate victim of La Republic, the Cameroon Colonial Forces massacre, was being removed for the mortuary.
Yes. A military that works so. As soon as I'm so, they can't enter. Me to mommy on top bed, we come off for wash. They shoot them. Where the one rob, they shoot it. As soon as they see him so. Inside a room. Now see the mommy where military come. Can't shoot them. Now see him. Now see him. Now see the mommy. Empty. He just come off for wash. Semi rob. Now see him. Now think that we military do am with the mommy so. Yes. I dey think that so we military don't do am. I just want to say me una see am, make the world see am.
All right, and so if you missed any of the news during the week, I'm sure that you have almost a full bulletin here with our Struder recap. And so, of course, we have fresh stories for you as well, but we wouldn't do that until we have heard from the representatives of Fako County. All right, over to you, Mr. Tar.
They rebel and open their own church and forsake their foundations.
Thank you very much, ladies, for the wonderful. Please, I would like that the officials do not permit anyone to unmute themselves in the draft, in the Zoom link. Please, I can't take no call now. I'm live.
Nigerian work is not actually Christianity.
Please, co-host, do not unmute anybody in the Zoom link. Mola, yeah, please, would you mind checking your background sound? I think it's interfering with production. You have background sound. Maybe it's coming from the Zoom. It's interfering with the production. Try to check on that, please. I've just muted your sound. Just make sure your surrounding is having no sound that can interfere the production. Okay, thank you very much, ladies. I want to commend your outfit. You're representing a true Bakwere woman this afternoon, and it inspires Amazonians and draftees who have come tonight to ensure that today is a success. While we're hoping that another official from the county will join this discussion, I would like Mola, Nick, Mwele to help us again with some information. But then I would prefer that you put your acts together, get to help the other to connect. Let me start with you, Barista Team, Barista Fru. By default, you're both sons of Fako County. One way or another, we have an Amazonian that has either been in school in Fako or was born there. Those that came from the grass fields because of the fertile soils of Fako land, they were nicknamed Kamnogo. Our oppressors measured on that and took it to divide us. In fact, that is the core of the Northwest-Southwest dichotomy that we are fighting today. So maybe I should start with you, Barrister Team. You may want to. Barrister Team, please, you have the floor. Can you hear me?
Yes, I do hear you, and thank you for inviting me once more. See, we are now in Fako, and I think I want to relate much more to Fako than anything else. See, Fako, the come no go thing did not come from La Republic. Fako is a place where everybody will want to visit and live there forever. But before I get there, see, Fako is not Bakwere dominated place. Yes, Bakwerians are there in a large majority. We should not forget that in Moyuka, parts of Moyuka, there are the balloons. The balloons are found in Malende, where Mpundo. Those are all Fako things. Then, back to what I was trying to say. In 1858, when Alfred Secker landed in Victoria, in fact, I think he named that place called Victoria, there was no German there. He built his church. And he did not plan to go back. Why? Because Fako is very unique. Fako has a good climate, you can find because of the good mountain. It has the ocean, which is not found anywhere else in Amazonia. It has the people who will welcome you and live with you permanently without any grudges at all. And so I think almost all of us who can read and write can, in one form or the other, trace Fako DNA in them. Either they came to work in the CDC, which was the first place where people could have a Monday pay job, or they came to go to school there. So we're all Fako. In 2001, I coined out a phrase which I call Fako. And Fako is so unique. We hear talking about 5 LGAs, 6 LGAs, 4 LGAs. Those are administrative appellations. They mean nothing, actually, for Fako. When I came to Boya in 1983, I remember very, very well, the mayor of Victoria was living in Long Street in Boya and going to work in Victoria. And as we speak, there are people who live in Boya and work in Victoria. There are people who live in Tico and work in Victoria, and vice versa. So it's so unique. It's not a place where, like other places, no. And when we say Boya, when we say Fako is us, it's not a joke. Most of us, if not all, have said can have a DNA of Fako in them. I live in Boya. All my children were born there. Yes, I'm not a native Bakwere guy, but that's where I belong. I'm not going back. I'm remaining there like most of us. Why? Because everybody is there. It's conducive. The climate is good. They can till the soil. You can have good neighbors. The Bakweres are the only ones I can remember, I don't know where there are others, that you come into their area, you acquire a piece of land, you can be your skyscrapers there. That's no longer their problem. They are your friends. They are not hostile to you. They are not going to tell you to their Nyongo, whatever thing you call it there. You just live. And so there's no reason why all of us should not be Fako. There's no reason why we should call Fako a Bakwere entity. Yeah, they are the indigenous. But of the 200,000 people who live in Fako or more, how many of them are indigenous of the Bakweres or the Balungs? They are not. We are there. Like the Germans came, they didn't want to go back. You find all those CDC plantations. They were lands taken from the natives. Why? Because the German colonialists did not want to go back. They wanted to farm and stay there forever. They wanted to farm, go there and stay there forever. And those of us who came after and migrated from different places for different reasons, we were bought and built there. We have delivered children there. We're not going back. We are Fako. I certainly am. I have a lot of property in my native Libya. But I'm not sure I'm ever going to live there. Neither will my children ever go back there. So I'm not only Fako, my kids are Fako. And so we should feel all involved in Fako issues. Yes, there are problems, but there's no place without problem. There will always be a problem in Fako because that's the last fight that the colonizer would engage. That's the last place they will give up. Not military, they are involved in Fako in different forms. Treachery, militarily, crookery, theft, everything that you can imagine in the world. They are going to put all that effort into Fako. It is not by mistake that they send a DO, a governor, to Fako, and he or she want to come and own 2 acres of land. Because that land has value. You're not going to fight for the same land in Bafia, in Bolivar. There's no value there. They fight to own Fako. I remember before Musa Yaya died, before they even started Sonara, the guy had discovered that they were going to be a Sonara there, an oil refinery there. He came to that area that was close and acquired hectares of land. This is an Hausa man in Ghana all the way from the north. He saw the value. He's dead, but his children sold the place for money. That explains why you find governors today preface fighting to be there. They want to own Fako. There's no reason why we, the Ambazonians, should own less of Fako than the strangers. Then there are people who are just strangers. So, just on that alone, I would say, since I was involved, we are concerned with Fako draft today. Let everybody show up. Not as a second home. Now, Fako should be your first home. Because that's where you die and leave property to your kids. That is where probably you'll be buried. Or some of them will be buried. In fact, that's where the umbilical cord of most of your children is found. So again, this is Fako. We're there not to go away. We're not contributing in Fako. We're not drafting Fako as second. Now we're drafting Fako first and any other county next. So that's the advice I will give before we take off the draft. I don't want to deal with any other thing other than the draft. And I think that's it. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Barrister Bisea. I like to state that earlier on what I was the colonial master who's like Mullah Nick. You may need to work on your sound, the sound of your surrounding. Thank you. The colonial master took advantage of whatever name was given to those who came mostly from the grass field, because to cultivate in the CDC, in the palm bushes, the plantations in Fako, they took advantage of it to foster the divide, whatever they call the Northwest-Southwest divide. They did not initiate it, but they thought that was a window for them to weaken us. That is a strategy we know they employ, the divide and conquer. Barrister Fro, you announced on TV on Thursday, was it, if I'm not mistaken, you announced on TV that you'll be drafting fully for Tico LGA. And that tells us your emotional attachment. I know you draft for every county, but this county, you have chosen to do it fully. That's aside Mezam County that you're drafting fully. Please, can you relate to us today? What is that emotional, whatever connection that you have with this county, and that you think can be a lesson for others that are yet to find a common ground?
Thank you very much, Paddy. Throughout my beginning years as a child, I grew up in Chico, and like any other CDC child, we left from Chico to Ekona, from Ekona from Saxonhof to Bota, and back to Moliwe, where I ended up having my first school living certificate in CBM school, Moliwe. I had never known any other place other than Victoria Division. You people call it now Fako. I started hearing about Fako when I had left, but I know of Victoria Division, and I know of Boya Mountain. This your thing you call Cameroon Mountain and all that stuff. It doesn't ring a bell to me. It's Boya Mountain and Victoria Division, and the capital of the southern Cameroon was Boya. So that's how I grew up until I went to secondary school in Sacred Heart, Mancon. I did not even know that I was from Mancon. Most of my childhood friends, all my childhood friends are from the Victoria Division. I got to Mancon, went to Sacred Heart, met some people there who said they were Mancon. I also integrated myself as a Mancon man, since my origins are from Mancon. But I've always known as a child that I came from Tico. And then from Tico, going around until I ended up in Moliwe. And of course, we ended up in Bonadikombo, which is my four, Victoria. So that is how what you call Fako today has become an emotional. I have an emotional attachment to it. That's why I have drafted and paid my $1,000 for Tico. Just like I did in Mancon Bachomba, I've done it for Tico. But Mancon Bachomba should know that I have an emotional attachment for Tico. Because that's where I became a child. That's where I grew up. That's where I don't know any other place until when I got to Sacred Heart Mancon. Paddy, to answer your question, yes, I have an emotional attachment to Tico. And of course, from Tico to Moliwe, Bonadikombo, my four. So that's it. And I'm not the only one. A lot of my friends, whether they're from where or from where, are CDC children. And we have known ourselves from childhood, the Gobinas, the Mokokos, all that. Who do I know in Mancon actually as a friend? I really don't have a childhood friend in Mancon. So to make a long story short, yes, I have emotional attachment to Chico. And that's why I've dropped
So
Chico.
right to say,
And I'm calling on everybody. I'm calling on every Amazonian, no matter where you come from. Please, the Boya is our capital. And Boya is in Fako. We have to rally and defend Victoria Division, which you now call Fako. Please come on board and help us.
Now, do you think,
raise the money to rebuild the defenses of Fako? Thank you. Paddy, I'm listening.
I would like to call you the sour boy then. Now, this goes back to you, Barrister Fro. Before I come to you, Barrister Tim, please, I'm also asking officials of the county of Fako endeavor to have all the comrades connected. We have Mola, Nick, Mole in VMix. Please try to have others connected so that we can have this discussion real quickly. The officials should follow up on that. Now, you just mentioned something, and I want you to follow up with this, Barrister Fro.
Yes.
Do you think that post-independence, or when we are reinstituting in Boya, that is very soon, I hope so in my spirit, do you think that we should return to that Victoria Division or whatever, geopolitical, whoever did that definitely was not Amazonians, I'm sure, but I think only
as the Southern Cameroons Ambazonia now, British Southern Cameroons, you have to qualify because we're not Southern Cameroon, we're British Southern Cameroon, and of course we have chosen the name Ambazonia based on a geographical location in Victoria, the Ambas Bay, and that name was given to us by, of course, Gojidinka, and it was adopted by every British Southern Cameroonian. So I think that we have to evolve, and we have already evolved. Victoria, Kumba, and Dian are in what you call the Atlantic zone. We cannot change that now. We will only actualize that constitutionally when we get to Boya. Then you have the Midland and of course the grass, the savannah. I don't think that it is of any interest to go back to Victoria Division. No, but I just brought that up to make you know that the colonialists, the Francophones colonialists, they had a reason for disrupting us and giving us names, calling Fako. I don't know how Fako even came. I know that Limbe came about because of that river that flows in Victoria with some fishes. I don't know, but these guys look for every means to divide and rule. So they gave names that some of us could not even remember. In fact, I want to say that when I returned to Victoria, when I returned to Maipo, it was not any different from how I left. It wasn't. It is still a very poor neighborhood where I finally grew up. I finally got my first school living certificate. Living in Poto. You can understand how emotionally some of us from the northern zone feel about Fako, what you call Fako today. It is our first home. Wherever we have gone, wherever we have been, Fako remains our first home.
Okay. But the team, there are some who we're going to be going back into the newsroom to get some updates. We have some updates of news that are coming up. We're going back into the newsroom to have those updates. There are some who believe that renaming whatever the colonial masters have done to us is really not sufficient, because we're still having some remains of the colonial restructuring. Their geopolitics was a calculation for something, and we have successfully put it in 3 regions, 13 counties, just renaming and using the same geopolitical structures with very few adjustments. If you are asked at this time of war to do a reset, the president has given new names, but nobody seems to be using it. You still have people using my fours and all of that. Perhaps we need to also publicize that more. President Sisiko also rename some of the streets we have in Amazonians. I'm not even sure. I'm guilty of the fact that I do not even remember some of those words. Geopolitics can never be eliminated when it comes to a people identifying themselves and carving a way forward. What if you would advise, as an advisor of this government, what do you think we should do now? Some of these names keep resurfacing, and you know the power of nomenclature. When they call you something, that's what you are. Master Team, please.
Well, I think Master So has answered a good number of the questions, but this is the issue. What is behind a name is what is important. See, naming is progressive. I cannot right now tell you we must rename or not, but as we evolve, we're going to be able to decide what we want to do in the future. We're not bound by particular names. We'll do it if we think it is necessary. The most important thing is that let them call us what they want. There's only one Fako, and Paul Bia or any other Wonderman, any other Hausa man cannot transfer Fako to somewhere in the Bolova and say, this is my own Fako here. There's only one Boya Mountain. They are not going to move it there. I remember about 20 years ago, I wrote an article, I don't know where I missed it. There's something that is ritual in Cameroon. Every 2 years or every 1 year, they call it the Boya Mountain Race, where people come from everywhere to climb that mountain and get a prize. And then I said, look, I wrote in that my article, if the Boya Mountain were something that you could move, people would have moved it, say, for example, to Bolova, to Kuseri, then have a mountain race there, use the process of a mountain race to construct hotels, dig good roads, and then next year they'll move it to another place and call it a mountain race in Kribi. They will invite the population to come, they will dig roads, do all facilities there in the name of the mountain race, and then thereafter they will transfer it to another place. But it's not going to happen. The mountain remains Boya Mountain. Like it or not, is there. So what we do behind the name is what is important. It's not what the enemy thinks or does about it. There will always be divide and rule, even in a family. In a family of 2, 3 wives, there are other children who come to tell their other brothers and sisters, look, Papa not like you. Buy me that pound, not buy your own. There's divide and rule even at the family level. But I'm not even buying into that. That is all nonsense. The divide and rule that we're having is not even brought by the colonizer. No, it is among ourselves. This talk no go, come no go thing did not come from somebody from Bolova, from someone from Yaoundé. No. Oben Peter Ashu created it. I was in Boya when he came with that name. Oben Peter Ashu is from Mayo. So, but he did not sell because the people he called come no go are still there. They have gone nowhere. They've gone nowhere. The history is long, and they're not going anywhere. So Fako is Fako. Ambazonia is Ambazonia. Yes, we call ourselves Ambazonia today. Tomorrow we can call ourselves any other thing that we want. But for now, we're Ambazonia. Must we change the name because somebody is criticizing us Ambazonians Makiza as a terrorist? No, we're not changing the name. We remain with it. That's what we've adopted. It's good. No matter what it is, we'll keep the name. If tomorrow we change, you're going to change the name of Fako to what? Like Barrister Fu said, he was called Victoria. Is Victoria a Bakore name? Is Victoria a Bamundaman's name? It's the Queen Victoria in England. So we're not going to be changing names for the sake of changing, but some names have historical connections. As I said earlier, in 1858, when Africa landed there, he called that place Victoria. If you go to Victoria right now, near Gardens, you find a football stadium there. They call Centenary Stadium. It was built in 1958 to mark the 100th year of the arrival of Africa in Victoria. So those names have historical connections. Again, this is called Boya Mountain. They call it the shadows of the gods, all that nonsense. But it's Boya Mountain. I lived in Boya all my life, a long time in my life. I've not gone up there, but Bakwaricha go there, hunt animals, bring honey. I don't know the road. Only Bakwaricha can do that. That's their mountain. So we don't need to be changing names for the sake of changing. There's no name that will change that people will not criticize. People will always criticize. We are now Midland, Atlantic, Grassland, whatever. Tomorrow can be different from that. As I said earlier, this idea of Tico, LGA, Boya LGA, Victoria LGA has no meaning in the life of people who live there. Because Mr. Ansel was born in Tico, he ended up in Molowe. Molowe is not part of Tico. He ended up in Bonadikumbo, on the way to Bujongo. There's no Tico, there's all Fako. So, and as I said, when I came to Boya in 1983, the mayor of Victoria was living in Long Street in Boya. I'm going to work there. I have friends today who live in Victoria and can't work in Boya. And people who live in Boya and can't work in Victoria. So those things don't have much meaning to us. What we do, a guy who lives in Boya and works in Limbe or Victoria, what's interesting to him is a good road. They can glide on that road within seconds that he's at work and come back home safe. The name is not what is important. And so we are not drafting just for the name. We are drafting for what Fako is. And Fako is our gold mine. Fako is our gold mine as far as Ambazonia is concerned.
Just a moment, Barrister Tim. We're going to come back to that. I understand from Mola Nick that Mola figure needs to come in. And yes, I want him to come in. Please, can you coordinate that? I've been informed that Mola, I've been informed by Ma Indela, and I've sent 2 quotes and nobody seems to be connecting. Please, Fako County, put your acts together, get the officials that are ready to talk with us. I'm bringing you again after these news briefings. Molanik, I'll be bringing you again to talk. Put your acts together, get the right officials, let them connect. And we have just about 30 minutes, maximum 40 minutes to conclude this discussion. Thank you. You were just saying something, Barrister Tim. I'm sorry for that interruption, but it was necessary.
I was saying that Fako is a gold mine. Whether you come from Ngokutunja, you come from Libya, and wherever, Fako is a gold mine. And so, as Rasanso has said, we will know no other home other than Fako, if only it is for the purpose of shipping our goods abroad. You plant coffee in Cambe, in Womb, you bring it to ship it in Victoria. You grow any other thing there, you are coming there, at least to get something out of it. So Fako is us, and we are Fako. My Sanso has told you all that. I don't need to repeat to you that I have traveled almost every place in Fako on foot. Because my cousins were working in Undaunted, they were working in Modica, everywhere. And there was no means. I was so poor. I was a poor student. My father had died. I moved on foot. I don't know how many of us know what they used to call trolley. that you know it's a also the CDC plantations. I walked from Tico Tromondone to Moyoka. I walked on foot from Moyoka to Bafia. So this is part of our history. That is us. I know more of Fako physically than I know of the BLM. And many others are like that. So all that nonsense of come no go created by Oben Peter Ashu, may he rest in peace. And I'm happy to hear. I heard that he apologized before he died.
Barrister Messiah,
Yes.
I may beg to contradict with you slightly. I think the Minister Tabi, Peter Ashu, and all the people, particularly most of them coming from Manu, and today they are instrumentalizing the current prime minister to do almost the same thing. I think all of these individuals were enhanced by the oppressor to do what they're doing, because they were most probably deceived that if they would do that, and they were made to think they are more privileged Southern Cameroonians than especially those coming from the grass field. And I think that indoctrination came from colonizers. It was not inherent.
No,
Like
let me reply to that, Paddy.
Bruce said something
Let me reply.
that the Bakri man naturally is a loving and welcoming person. So if you have the man from Manu coming to do that, it should be an indoctrination from Yaoundé. Else, why would they be doing so?
Let me reply to that, Paddy.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Listen, Oben Peter Ashu, I knew him while I was a student in Sacred Heart. He was the duo of Bamenda. Oben Peter Ashu is a civil servant, and he has grown as a civil servant. He became whatever he became and was posted to Boya as the governor of the Southwest. Let me tell you, Oben Peter was not forced to call the other people other than himself as Come No Go, because he is not from Victoria Division. He's from Mountain Division, and he is a Come No Go. He should have been sensible enough not to alter things like that. He was a governor, and nobody from the regime would force him to make a statement like that. It was out of zealousness. I disagree with you, Paddy. I think what my senior colleague has been saying is 100% correct. Open Peter Ashu cannot be influenced by the regime to call his people whom he works with, people who he is enjoying Boya because of them, and call them Come No Go, when he himself is a Come No Go, because he is not.
Very quickly, Barrister Pro, we're going to come back to this. You give us 15 minutes. Want to give some that may lay the foundation for us to conclude the discussion. I'm also monitoring the Zoom and hoping that the officials of the county will indicate when they are ready. While we give Undaunted the mic, let me try to see if I can connect some officials from the county. Ambazonians would like to hear from them. It is so imperative that they talk to Ambazonians today. So I will, without any protocol, give back the mic to Undaunted. Stay tuned.
All right, thank you, Mr. Tar. Moving on to the news stories for today, we would start with the story of Moja. It happens that he is also taking laws into his hands. Now, the people of Southern Cameroon's Amazonia are living thanks to God. The colonial administrators and in-house slaves have been given the mandate to do as they wish to Ambazonians by the Master Paul Biya, ruler of La Republique du Cameroon. It suffices for one of these colonial administrators to have feelings of sentiment against you. The next minute, you are arrogated and attacked an Amazonian liberation fighter, then you are assassinated without even going through the kangaroo or going through the courts. Even the colonial military deployed to Amazonia shot and killed their rivals over the girls they admire. The general justification given to cover themselves is that their victims are terrorists. Their hierarchy will camouflage that an investigation is open, an investigation that the verdict will never be made known. Now, in a situation where some of these colonial La République du Cameroon soldiers are said to have been locked up for gross acts of human rights abuse, they are never tried or tried nor sentenced. No evil perpetrated on the people of southern Cameroon and Ambazonia by elements of Paul Biya regime is sanctioned, nor even viewed as one. Now, Chief Eweme Eko John, who is also Moja Moja of Boassa village, an element of the La République du Cameroon Elite Force, Bier, has tortured to death a young southern Cameroonian. Now, how can an individual, an element of law, an order beat a suspect to death? Well, it is the colonial Bier's regime that has given him the right. And so, what would you expect?
In-house slave element of La République du Cameroon's elite force, Rapid Intervention Battalion, BIR, the Beers, Chief Ewome Eko John, also known as Moja Moja of Boassa village, has beaten to death a young man. The young Southern Cameroonian died as a result of the snake-bitten Moja Moja mated on him. Now, his only crime is that he is a Southern Cameroonian and Ambazonia. There's this victim here who Moja Moja actually dehumanized. In this video, you can see it, and suspected of being an Amazonian liberation fighter. Moja Moja chose not to bring him before the law.
Okay, you know be my friend. I be your friend. That day for Lisoka, call all your friends that they be shooting me. One in Haiti. Mandela. The other one. Stone Cold. The other one. Mandela Stone Cold. Now I need them be Gia. I need them in Gia now. Yes. Okay. Then the boy the killer now for Bokova. Where the dance juju with me. Now the killer. Now Stone Cold. Will you again? With Mandela. Then the guy they rape him. Look your foot. You can't see your foot. Videotape be food. You don't see her food? Yes. Okay. You know now don't catch you now. Now more than a court. That's 3. Say that 3. Don't say Amba Moja strong. Amba Moja strong. Say animal define Moja. Animal define Moja. He define I die. He define I die. Say Moja don't catch me. Moja don't catch me. Amba on a play no day. Tell them. Amba ya play no day. Say Amba plays no day. Amba play no day. Una see 2 Moja they do me. Una see 2 Moja they do me. Okay. Okay. Moja the move na 30 over head. Okay. Moja the move na 80. Na 30 over my head because I no be carry power now. Okay. I'll take all now. We have food. We'll take all them. Outside. 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 Come show your face. Show your face. Outside. 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 I will carry you go for all their houses. You go there. Yes, all their houses. Abba say Moja don't catch me. Moja don't catch me. Say Moja don't catch me. Come. Say Moja don't catch me. Moja don't catch me. Say all people they will don't kill him. All people they will don't kill him. Moja don't catch me today when I play no day. Okay. Yes. What be Moja a new name? Santa 3. Wait. Now God. Santa 3 now God. Santa 3 now God. Yes.
You saw the video for yourself. Very horrific, terribly terrible. And suspected of being an Amazonian liberation fighter, Moja Moja chose not to bring him before the law court, certainly for lack of evidence, but rather to be the law himself by beating him to death. And we've seen this in his pattern. In a video taken at the request of Chief Ewome Eko John, also known as Moja Moja of Boassa village, his victim is forced to repeat words said to have by his oppressor. No evidence, according to the video, incriminates this unfortunate Amazonian as a fighter. In the video, this boy's face is disfigured and he is being tortured from the boot of Moja Moja's car and locked in the boot. Chief Ewome Eko John alias Moja Moja of Boassa village video pride himself as Satan 3, a consciousness of his evil heart with conscience. Now, a chief that by custom is the custodian of the tradition and the protection of his subject has, because of greed, decided to expose the same people he is called to protect.
Now, in another related development, a man narrates his brother's ordeal in the hands of Moja Moja. Now, he says, "This is my junior brother, same father, same mother. He is a graduate of the University of Boya, and because of no job, he is a taxi man in Boya. He was around the UB campus teaching his landlord's son driving when Moja Moja caught him and did this to him. The innocent are dying while the real Amber are moving free in the country." That's what this guy says. Now let's see the video.
This is Moja Moja. Les gens ici veulent déstabiliser l'éducation ici à l'université de Boya. Ils étaient 4, on a tiré avec eux, 2 sont free avec les armes. This is what we have from them. 2 sont free. Today is 8th of October, Tuesday the 8th of October. Yeah, 18th of October. Amazonian, I am going to mojalize you. You will see. You will see. This begin them go school. You know, say if I be again a cap, if I become for the level, I know I will do EMIA. You can't step them now.
Well, the Public Declaration Minister of Trade administer absence of domestic cooking gas. Now, it is a users of domestic cooking gas. The gas in all the different brands is nowhere to be found. What pains users the most is the Ministry of Cameroon have adopted a sealed lip as an answer to the suffering of the common man. The Colonial Minister of Trade remains mute amidst the penury of cooking gas. It seems that it is an indication of the fact that the regime careless and the low man down there of the right of the household users of cooking gas. This government, with the interests of the people at heart, will not hesitate to explain to consumers at any given moment when there is absence of a particular commodity of necessity in the market. Now, we have observed that for close to 3 months now, domestic cooking gas is gradually running short of stock in the market. Until now that it is completely out, the failed La Republic of Cameroon government has been unable to adopt a plan B for users of gas to be supplied. Now, how can La Republic of Cameroon be taken or be talking about emergence in 2035 when she is unable to secure the availability of a basic commodity of gas, barely 12 years to deadline? Now, we have this video of a popular comedian called Senior Pastor Comedian. He tried to make light of this incident. Trust me, it is very, very serious. Now, let's get this video.
Money, no. Na money. Now we use it on for the whole town for Limbe. The worst one I say the difference between problem and situation. Problem now when you gas finish from Monday to Sunday for Southwest. When you get situation, now when you gas finish on Ghost Town Day, then add my situation in two. Now when they turn for the whole town, you know see gas. The way the gas in there now, so if some man see shit, you go cook with them. I'm telling you, no gas for town for the whole Limbe. Today I go stand there. This is my fellow gas. I don't know her. We meet for gas place. Another people days, you go for a boot. You go don't see bottle of gas. We don't turn the whole Limbe. We didn't for my four. For me, for come on my four for go stand there. For tell you say what I don't pass Gary. So my picking them, if they're not chop, not concern me. Many man find you if I aside now. Because the way even charcoal now don't dear. The way ought to dear for this country now. So any man with the whole gas, any person will be in charge of gas for Cameroon, I beg when I move gas. Yeah. And also maybe now they keep on for inflate the price. But it's no longer funny. People are suffering. People are going everywhere. Any man the type gas. If I some people they call from Douala, so they don't come buy gas for Limbe. I yesterday they sell them by me 15,000. It's not funny. So I beg. Maybe when I move gas, I beg. Yeah. Salute to my people there. Salute to now. All this time gas no dey town, and yesterday particularly my gas got finished. So I get for rush for town for find gas. I find gas for town for Limbe. Gas no day. I find gas my petrol my motor nearly finished yesterday while it on all places. I know I go town. So I had to lie low yesterday. We look for something and eat to eat outside me and my family yesterday. So today we don't turn again, don't find gas. I don't find gas to the whole Limbe. I need to see gas. But as I come back for house, now this idea enter for me, enter my head. So now the idea this I want to share. How if you use gas when gas don't finish? Because when this thing work, as it works, so now I get for do them. I say no, I get for share them. Because don't forget find things so not share them with your people. So how for you for use gas when your gas don't finish? First thing you enter your kitchen. You enter your kitchen. Remember, you enter your kitchen. See my step now. Because when gas don't finish, so gas reverse. No be patient. So you get for the entire kitchen. That's so. No straw. If you straw so, no gas not like them. When gas don't finish, you need straw the entire kitchen. You get for entire kitchen. I say entire kitchen. Now, this thing go work if you not get gas when automatic. Because this gas where they put matches or lighter when gas don't finish. So the one where gas don't finish, it like automatic. We get for make sound. It like sound. You see, hear the sound. Hear the sound. It will make bang, 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 bang. Now the bang is give for make it like that bang 3 times. So you give for make that bang 3. Bang 1, bang 2, bang 3. That is in the name of the Father, the Son, of the Holy Spirit. Make God back you what you want to do. Yes. So when you don't make a bang, as long as you don't make a bang, so no see come. No see come. Last bang, no come. Then you come out. I'll show the next thing we need to do immediately as you no come. The next thing we need to do. So now you come up for your house. When you do, I don't come up my house. You walk up. See the step. See the step. Yes, you walk up. You come. My brothers and sisters, when you don't come up for your house that time, you light fire, yeah. You light fire side. You know that so hungry go kill you and your family. You know that so hungry go kill you and your family. Light fire side, light charcoal, light anything lightable, firewood, all thing. You light and cook on the chop, yeah. I hope you don't learn something. Thank you very much.
Sorry to those who were taking him serious, how to use a gas or cooker when there is no gas. But in the end, I'm sure you found a substitute from his comic video, how to substitute when there is really no gas. Users of domestic cooking gas, rather, have been stranded with the absence of the precious commodity in the market. The reason for the shortage of cooking gas has not been given the stakeholders in charge, nor the period for when it will be available made known. This has left users of the domestic cooking gas confused and afraid, given that no information has been advanced to justify the shortage. Now, Undaunted decided to talk to some disappointed users of domestic cooking gas, and one of them said, "It is really frustrating. I do not have any other alternative of cooking apart from using the gas cooker. For 3 days now, I've been unable to secure for myself a filled gas bottle since mine got finished. These 3 days have been hell for me and my children. I pray something is done and very fast. If not, only God knows." Now, this is from a lady, and another person says there is no cooking gas cylinder in the market, and instead of the government to come tell the people what is happening, they decide to be quiet about it. They now consider us not anybody that they should explain these things to. In short, this country should be sold and shared to everybody. That's hilarious, but you can hear the pain coming from this person. And a few months ago, the authorities in charge of the distribution of petroleum products explained this shortage by a logistics problem. They spoke then of a delay in the unloading of the importer's ship, Comfax Oil, Since August, Cameroonians have been facing a shortage of gas of several brands: Tradex, SCTM, Total, Africa Gas in several localities. In July, the government confessed that the fuel shortage was due to the growing weight of the state subsidy dedicated to maintaining the prices of these petroleum products. It is not excluded that this problem also affects domestic gas. The subsidy for these products is borne by the CSPH. At the end of March 2022, the Colonial Minister of Commerce, Luc Magloire Mbarga and Tangana, estimated the subsidy for a bottle of gas at 6,777 francs CFA.
The colonial minister, who is also chairman of the board of directors of the CSPH, projected the annual cost of this subsidy at 70 billion CFA. Now, the sum is higher than the overall expenses of this public institution, which amount to 66.9 billion francs CFA in 2021 and 52.2 billion francs CFA in 2020. A source hinted on said the consignment of these gas is coming to remedy the situation in some towns, that while waiting for the unloading of the ships expected, the shortest station of Bipaga, located near Kribi, can supply the city of Yaoundé and its surroundings. Now, what will then the case be in Amazonia, whom certainly will be supplied on when all the different La République du Cameroon towns must have been replenished?
Well, moving on with the stories we have for today, Southern Cameroon's Amazonian Crisis Database implicates French Cameroon military Amazonia liberation fighters in 5 new atrocities. On the occasion of the African Human Rights Day, October 21st, 2022, the Southern Cameroon's Amazonia Crisis Database of Atrocities has cited 5 fresh atrocities committed in the conflict region's Amazonia. The database is a volunteer initiative hosted at University of Toronto, which collects and verifies information on atrocities being perpetrated in Amazonia, and it aims to counter impunity, deter further violence, and store information for further international justice processes and a possible National Truth, Justice, and Reconciliation Commission. The incidents, it stated, include attacks at a market, health center, eco-village, drinking sports, and remote settlements in 2021 and 2022. Incidents were perpetrated by the French Cameroon military, non-state armed Amazonian fighters, or felony herdsmen, it revealed.
Now, the incident details includes the burning of Undaunted Eco Village in Bafut local government area, where corroborating evidence implicates the La République du Cameroon military in the burning. The second is an attack on Pier Market in Fondonera on July 1st, 2022. Amazonian liberation fighters appear to have perpetrated this attack, likely the Red Dragons of Libya. Now, this is one of the several attacks committed by Amazonian fighters outside the Anglophone region, reflecting the potentials for violence to spread. The database warned. The third consistent burnings in Nwa local government area in March 2021. CHRDA reporting states that armed Fulani from Nigeria, Damawa, and Nwa Central Town were responsible. Over 100 homes and structures were reported to have been burned. The scale of destruction is significant. The burning of the Life Abundance Program LAP Center in Kumbo local government area also made the list. It was raised on March 1st, 2021.
The database noted that multiple sources indicate that Colonial La République du Cameroon's military forces fired on the building, which went up in flames. The fifth atrocity was the shooting of 5 civilians in Mile 90 in Songwa, in Bamenda local government area, by La République du Cameroon's military, admitting the existence of numerous contradictory accounts of the perpetrators and narrative of this incident. The database noted that the case demonstrates the challenge of ascertaining the perpetrators for many incidents in the conflict. The verified atrocities, the database remarked, demonstrates an ongoing disregard for life and property in Ambazonia.
They exposed the warring parties for perpetrating human rights abuses, which violates national and international laws. Their database is not exhaustive, as the Colonial Law Republic de Cameroon killings of two innocent women in Ingi local government area, an innocent woman in Buzang, Batibo local government area, other killings in Bui County, Metchum County, Mesa, Mayu, Meme, Fako, and Ngokentuja counties by the same colonial military only in 2021 and 2022 have not been included. The list is endless.
Now we'll move on to the last story of tonight, but only after this very short break.
All right, we have the story here. It says that Chief Kuva Linkia was the founder of the Buya dynasty in southern Cameroon, what we call today Ambazonia. He was the brain behind the Bakweri War of Resistance in 1981 and 1894. Sorry, again. He was behind the Bakweri War of Resistance in 1891 to 1894 against the Graven Road, the German commander.
Now, Boya seemed to have derived her vigor from her indigenous substrate, on which the brave warriors and Mountain King Kuva Likenye mobilized an ill-trained ragtag army to stand up in arms against German exploitation of the Bakweri people. Kuva may have been spiritually inspired by the mountain god Ifasa Moto or the mountain goddess Liengu Lalelu, or better still, the mermaid Liengu Lanalua, or maybe by the founding father of Boya, Iye Nji Tama Lifande.
Right, during the war, he summoned about 400 Bekwerians who, through their might, halted the German advancement. The German advancement and the Wills, in turn, sent him on exile to Woya Mokumba, where he breathed his last in 1894.
Kuva Likenye, the Mountain King, waged a war against German occupation in the late 18th century and won the war. Today, a descendant of Kuva Likenye, Samuel Ikome Sako, the president of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia. If Ambazonia is determined and diligent more than ever before to beat the Franco-Cameroon occupation of Ambazonia. Without any waste of your time, we'll get back to the Fako pre-draft debate. Right now, we'll hand over to our news director, Tapadi King.
Watu imana moko mwenge duwele loba koluka na jeno mwanja ekpe yo mwenge iya titi ekema wateka mola njonjonjie mola njonjo moja oh His Royal Highness Chief Robert Esuka Endeli Chief Esuka Matthias ejo kute oka mola ste nyoki na iya juan eusi o mwenge si watu kumane me hoi aduja iya mojoko matute kwe yo mwenge mola samambua kwe yo mwenge alo Professor Nganje oa Dr. Matute
It would appear that connecting all officials of Fako County to enhance this discussion is an almost impossibility this evening. I will still be trying until the country tells us it's time for us to go. We'll keep on trying until the county tells us that. That notwithstanding, I'm hoping to have one of the defense officials, I think the defense spokesperson, to come and give us some briefings. I think Ambazonians are dying to have sufficient information. I know some of us are really vexed with the attitude, the bad attitude of Moja Moja, and that's vexation should lead you to the reason why you're drafting and drafting really big this evening. Okay, we have Mola. Mola is still here, and we've not been able to connect any other. Okay, Mola, please, I would have to release you in the next 5 or 10 minutes to go to the Zoom so that you can carry on with duties. Maybe the barristers will wait for you to talk to us. You're about telling us some of the things you've. I'm sorry about that. Yes, you were about giving to us. It's almost impossible. I was saying before now that it's almost an impossibility to get officials of Fako connected. I hope we can do that even for 5 minutes before we go. But Mola, Nick has been here. Thank you for making sure that you can connect. Please talk to us. Perhaps Barrister Tim and Barrister Flo would want to wait for a little while so that you can talk to us. Brief us on what is happening in the county. You started earlier on. Your connection was not the best. Now you have the mic.
Concerning for the Fako County, you just mean where we are going? Now where we are going, that's what you want me to...
Yes, I think just talk to us. We want to know what is happening. How have you prepared for us this evening? What is there to inspire Ambazonians as we get ready to draft Fako tonight?
Thank you, Paddy. I just want to tell the Ambazonian people that in life there are times that when you close a chapter, you open a new chapter. So the Fako people have opened a new chapter. And I just want to assure the Ambazonian people that Fako, let them, whatever they have thought about Fako, Fako is not the same as they thought. Fako is a county with open hands to everybody. Accountability, especially this time around. So when you are coming in with your money, don't feel as if your money will not do anything. Your money will do a lot this time around. Accountability will be there. Focus will be there. And feedbacks will be there. We just want to assure you guys, put your hands, help Fakoda is a capital city. And Fakoda is a difficult place. Taking into consideration the build-up of the Republic military. I think what they have in Fako can compare it to put almost about 8 counties together. So I just want to assure you, without mixed feelings, that you're gonna just see what you want to see. Just give us a chance. You always give a chance. Just give us a chance. I believe that Fako will make Ambazonia proud this time around. So that is my assurance. I cannot go detailing how I feel, but I believe and I know that when you give us a chance, we will make you guys proud. Open your hands, put your hands deep in your pocket, and then you can come tomorrow and say, oh, Molani, you said this, but it didn't happen. It's happened. But I want to assure you, I'll be ready to answer your question. It's going to happen. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Molanik. I don't know exactly what is happening. Perhaps I'll have to just get the. I might just be getting the defense spokesperson for the entire Amazonia to talk to us via a call. You're live on ABC Amba TV. I just want you to know that perhaps you may want to just talk to Amazonians. I've been trying to connect you as well. I don't know what is happening. I wanted to get some defense officials from the Fako County, and I had an emergency talk with the ANC today. What is happening in Fako? As spokesperson for Fako, you're aware of the controversy and many things that are happening. As spokesperson for Amazonia Restoration Forces, what do you have to tell us today?
Yeah, good evening, everybody.
Good evening,
Thanks for
please.
having me. Yeah, what I want to tell the people of Amazonia is that when it comes to the defense in Fako, no matter whatever is happening, no matter whatever controversies that are out there, we have to do everything possible to stand and defend our federal capital. There is no country on earth that will see their capital go down. And for us, just the fact that we are in this revolution, we are fighting to get our freedom. We know very well that the enemy will do everything possible to keep us from getting to that capital. We have to stand. The capital, we have to stand and fight and make sure that we raise our flag in that capital. The issue is not about one person. There is a whole defense structure in Fako. We are not going there to support an individual. We are going there to make sure that we support that capital and make sure that if Amazonians
now come back.
They have anything.
Come back. You say this is something I want you to say loud. I've managed to maybe increase your sound. I want you to do it louder. You said there is a whole defense structure in Fako. You may want to explain what that is all about. That may help to create some clarity to Amazonian stakeholders listening and those who are standing and thinking, but why should I be drafting for Fako? Please go ahead.
Yeah, what I was just saying is there is not just one single individual that is taking care of the defense structure in Fako. We have a structure that was put in place by our government. We have the LGAs and we have the LGAs. Most of those LGAs have at least 3 defense chiefs in those LGAs. If we are coming to draft this because we want to put resources at the hands of those people, we want them to be able to do their job. We have both material and human resources. Now, looking at it, it is a fight that we must win. And arriving at the federal capital is the ultimate prize, the prize that each and every one of us should be proud of. So, Fako being what it is, we have a strategy in place. And this strategy, we can only get that. We can get that strategy put in place by the ANC. When the ANC steps in, at least we understand that they've come in the meat business. And they will do everything possible to see to it that they meet people's expectations, no matter the controversies that are out there. People should come and know that their job will be done. They've got the expertise, they've got everything that is needed. So, let them come, give the resources that are needed. These resources can only be given to us in the form of the contributions to make financial contributions. Once they are made, we promise Amazonian people that the job will be done. So for that, they can be rest assured. They can put their fears aside. There is a structure in place. We'll make sure that we follow that through and deliver to the Amazonian people. Thank you, buddy.
Thank you very much. So you're assuring Amazonians listening to you now that the IG has a hold, because that's been the worry. The emergency meeting, you people spoke to me today, but I want you to speak to Amazonians. A lot of people have concerns about the interim government. Amazonian stakeholders believing in this government have serious concerns. And you assuring Amazonians this afternoon, as they get ready to start drafting, I can see they're already asking that we start any moment from now. Are you assuring Amazonians that this interim government has a hold on Fako when it comes to the defense volunteers?
There is. I can give them that assurance, buddy. It is something we've been discussing behind the scenes. We've looked into it because we've heard their voice. We are seriously looking to make sure that we meet up with their expectations. Look, if there is anything, we've been going around. We've been doing our best to see that we raise those counties. If there are problems in Fako, there are problems in other counties, and that's what the defense is all about. The ANC is all about, to look into those problems.
Good.
There are strategies in there. There are people that will always look and see that.
Now come back. Just come back. You're saying that the problems that have been made popular by in Sako, I know coup protests use Fako as their stronghold for their propaganda or evil agenda, and it would appear that the Amazonian public has been greatly affected by that. Are you saying that the problems we're having in Fako is not unique to Fako?
There is a reason why they're going after Fako, probably. And those problems, I don't think, they're not unique to Fako. We have problems everywhere in Amazonia. We are trying to fix. If they are trying to pinpoint Fako, maybe they have a reason they're doing that. But it is for us to see to it that whatever reasons they have, we put them to shame. We put them to shame because we've been working in all the counties. We will not fail to work in Fako also. Whatever, we'll make sure that we do even better in Fako.
Thank you very much, spokesman. I wish I could have a broader discussion with you. Like I promised you people earlier on, we're going to have a series of discussions starting next week with defense officials to make sure that we can educate the public, because I'm afraid, based on the reaction we got from public earlier on today, that the public has been greatly influenced with misinformation. And according to ANSC, the problem in Fako is not unique to Fako. We shouldn't make as though Fako is worse. They are saying that they're having the same challenges elsewhere, and they are up to the task to fix it. So Fako is not as bad as some of us want us to think. The defense volunteers are not as bad. In fact, they are very loyal. I will quote the words of Francis Cheney earlier on. He said, all the audios I've received, he called all names. None of the fighters are telling me that they are not for Dr. Sako. And he's calling the public to restrain in the way that they want to handle certain things. We have to restrain. That's my own advice as well. Maybe you want to say your last words for 30 seconds so that we can conclude this.
Yeah, thank you, buddy. Look, I would just like to tell Ambazonians that there has been an individual. This person has been going around the whole country. He's been encouraging people. He has been holding the flag of our country high. Look, it is an issue of us going out there to make sure that we stand behind this particular person. There's no money that our public will not give this person to let him deliver Fako to them. If he's been going around, he's been hammering and doing all the things that, he's been sitting there from draft to draft, restless, doing everything. Amazonians, we should put everything, all our worries aside. He has a good defense house in place. That I can assure all of you. There is a defense structure that is looking into these problems. So put your fears. Everything that we have, we know them. We'll take care of the problem. So thank you, thank you, buddy.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much. I just sent another quote to Tom. It would appear he just cannot connect. We will have to go. Barrister Fu and Barrister Tim, the both of you have not more than 5 minutes to talk on these same lines. You may want to educate our people. People have been worried. I think there's a lot of misinformation. There's a lot of attack within our ranks, and some of it is unfounded. Even though I try to connect with some of the emotions, we have been bruised, and therefore they said when a snake bites you and you see a millipede, you want to act that way. What do you want to tell us right now before I even tell Amazonians what ANC is permitting us to give public? Barrister Tim, you want to start?
Can I?
Yes, go right ahead, please.
Are you talking about Barrister Tim or Barrister Fro? Which one are you talking about?
Go ahead, please.
Go on, I can come after.
Okay, I was just going to say that I'm very comforted. I'm very comforted by the words of the spokesperson of the Ambazonian National Self-Defense Council. He should understand that Ambazonians are very itchy when they see something that hurts them. Well, on 1st of October, we saw pictures from Fako, and I tell you, if anybody went home and slept without worrying, that person must be a liar, because all our forces were marching under the banner of Ambazonian Liberation Council, and they made no bones about that. They met in Muyuka with several guns, and they were talking. But since the National Self-Defense Council spokesman has assured us, all we need to do now is to draft for Fako. Everybody should come out and draft for Fako so that we can build a formidable force in Fako. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Barrister Tim, please.
Yes, I think there's a common saying that he who pays the piper dictates the tune. I cannot pay the piper without money. Let us all draft. With enough money in our coffers, we shall influence a lot of things. But before I leave, you say, during the news, a lot of things came up that I think they need a little bit of one remark. We'll talk about the Come No Go. The Come No Go issue was essentially developed for the purpose of preserving jobs. That's just all. Greediness. For asking that anything coming to the so-called Southwest must be given to particular families. That's the background to it. It was not anything. We started something in 1991, 92 called Suela. I was the Assistant Secretary General of that thing. It collapsed after AAC2. And so forget about all that Come No Go issue. It is dead. People will continue to sing the song, but it goes nowhere. Then again, the next point was you showed us a lot about Moja. And during the reporting, the newscaster should think about this. They should never, when talking about Moja, say that he arrested somebody without evidence. Now, Moja doesn't even have the power to arrest anybody. It's a criminal. So it doesn't need evidence or no evidence to arrest anybody in the world. Even
a warrant of arrest.
Right to do. So,
but we know it's a lawless.
A warrant of arrest, if there's one, will not be given to Moja. That's just Moja is a criminal.
I'm not cutting you short. Just look at this. This just tells us how the colonial government can empower any person to do any nonsense. No, I just want to add up to what you're saying. I'm following the same direction you're going. It just shows us, and it's important for the international community to see this, because if it was a restoration force, they would have been tapped. All media houses would have been reporting and having that image. I'm so surprised none of the proxy blocks or whatever is talking about it. But then they are looking for somebody that's going to act like an Amazonian to get that. It's unfortunate. And I think Amazonians should spread that image worldwide to show how Cameroon is employing terror to kill our people. Go ahead, sir.
Cameroon is employing those things. But if I guess Moja should be watching us now, let him know that he's committing war crimes. The good thing about it is that he's documenting it. He's taking videos of himself. And since he says that he has on a CAP is a trade certificate, 2 years in some technical school, he should be reminded that these crimes that he's committing are imprescriptible. At his age, he's still a very young man. Bobby will die, the CPDM will die, that guy will still be alive. And this thing will follow him until the only thing that will stop is that he will be dead. So Moja is a criminal employed by the regime. I mean, beating that man is so bad. But remember that Moja not long ago arrested a pregnant woman, kept her in prison until she delivered there. Yeah, he arrested a pregnant woman without a warrant. I mean, a warrant. What was the prison people keeping her there for? Why were they even admitting her, a pregnant woman in prison, brought by Moja until she gives birth there? This network of criminals, it is not stopping today, it will stop tomorrow. People will be held accountable. That's the message that we should take home. The next thing that we're trying to talk about is gas. Gas is expensive in Cameroon, wherever it is. That's not a problem. We have something in Victoria called Sonara, which is supposed to produce gas. What we need to take home is this. That gas, even when produced in Limbe, in Victoria, will be shipped to Douala. If the price of a bottle of gas is in Douala 5,000, you in Victoria, you buy it for 10,000, you buy it for 6,000. Of course, you will even find it. Somebody in there will not even find a liter of it to buy, where that thing is coming from. When it is taken to our northern zone, will be stocked in Bafoussam. If they sell it in Bafoussam for 7,000, they will sell it in Bamenda for 8,000. So these are things that we should know. This is why we must fight for ourselves. Yes, the atrocities, that was the last thing they mentioned. The atrocities are there. They are not even new. They are part of the game of the Republic. They commit atrocities. But again, time is too short for them. They can only escape to a point. I can assure you that even after me and Fu, who are already old, will die, those crimes will survive us. And I'm sure the younger generation of lawyers, of activists, are not going to sleep until this are about to book. So rest assured.
Thank you very much, Barrister Team.
Okay.
We just hit the mark of our time. We've managed, in spite.
Paddy, before we go, can you keep those pictures, those videos, and those pictures for us? Because we'll have to.
Yes, I'm sending it to you now. Yes, I'll send it to you right now. I also made sure that we have uploaded it online, and I'll say this is what our activists should spend their time. This is what our activists should spend their time to do. And please, activists, instead of trying to fight ourselves, spend time more to showcase what Cameroon is doing against our people, and be patient with ourselves. We cannot use our hands to destroy ourselves. Thank you very much. I'll be handing the mic to the officials in the Zoom meeting to take over from us.
So can I sign out here?
The Amber World Draft Award 22 is here. People, it's time to win again.
This is the time for us to draft until we draft. That must be our slogan and rallying cry now. And along the way, we should be asking ourselves some critical questions.
Are we still enjoying 3 square meals a day? While our boys on the ground lack the basic gear they need to resist the occupiers?
Are we still living a life of luxury and comfort, while our brave restoration forces lack medical supplies at the home front?